Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to do a DIY project. This is going to be using 3/8 inch plywood to do a faux shiplap. Instead of buying the pine boards, which are about $13 or $14 a piece at the home center, you can get this 3/8 inch plywood, and I use this Revolution ply, and this is from Lowe's. It's 3/8 inch. It's primed already on one side, on this back side, and on the front I primed it with a white primer after I cut it into strips. So I cut it into strips that are about 7 7/8 inches. That way, out of a 4x8 sheet, I could get about 6 pieces. And then I put that on the wall with a nickel as a spacer, as you can see behind me. And I'm finishing up this wall here, and all I'm using is 18 gauge brad nails to secure it to the wall and to the studs. Since the plywood you're using for this project is only 3/8 inches thick, it's not too bad to handle by yourself. If you have your own table saw set up in a shop, like I do, then it's not too bad to try to cut it up yourself. You can make room and make sure you have in-feed and out-feed support for the piece, and you'll be able to cut consistent widths that way yourself. Another option is to have them actually cut it at the Lowe's or Home Depot, and sometimes they charge you an extra fee for that, but that could be a quick, easy way for you to be able to get these pieces cut up. This is a little flimsy when it's cut up. As you can see, it will flex, so you got to be careful that you don't crack it. The next step is to sand down any rough edges. I'm using 100 grit sandpaper here to just try to clean up the edges. The next thing you want to do is apply one coat of primer. I'm using a fast drying Sherwin-Williams primer here, and I'm going to apply it with a 6-inch roller. This process goes by pretty quickly. You're able to do these 3 boards in probably about 10 minutes. It's also a lot easier to get one coat of paint on the edges of these boards so that you don't have to worry about trying to get your paintbrush in that gap once it's on the wall. So these boards are going to be going downstairs above a breakfast nook where we had 3 skylights that we filled in. And I used extra pieces of sheetrock to close those up. A lot of imperfections in the ceiling can be hidden with this method. All you need to really worry about is what's visible through the cracks. So here I'm marking out exactly where the boards are going to fall. Then using a putty knife and some spackle, I'm going to fill in any visible gaps that would be in between those boards. The last step in prepping the ceiling then is putting one coat of primer along those seams where you marked on the ceiling with the board. Again, this will hide any imperfections in the ceiling, and it will just look like you have a total white background in between those boards. Now you're ready to mark the boards and cut them using a circular saw, or in this case I'm using a chop saw, and that will make sure you can get some accurate cuts. And then you want to put those in place on the ceiling, get some help for those longer boards. You want to stagger the seams, and then you're going to again use an 18 gauge brad nailer to nail those in place. Instead of using nickels on the ceiling here, this is at a slight angle, I'm using a thin shim that's the same thickness as nickels. And here's the finished product on the ceiling with just one coat of primer.